What's going on, everybody? This is Saul Castañeda with MCSC Green Wheels, and as you guys know, we're sitting here at home. A couple things that you saw in the last video: we got our hydro booster back in, we bled it out. We're going to go through that again one more time. But one of the things that we decided to do, along with upgrading a lot of things in the car, was a very common thing that we were doing. We were bleeding the brake system, and I did mention to you guys that we're going to go ahead and change out those hoses. Our brake hoses on our car are pretty much a standard AutoZone rubber brake hose. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but we've upgraded from a standard braking system. We went to the Cobra setup, double piston front caliper, the 1165 rim, rotor in the rear, along with the, again, Cobra braking system. So we decided to go ahead and upgrade our brake hoses, and we did that, and we went ahead with our J&M brake hoses. These are not your standard rubber line hoses. These are braided stainless steel hoses. These are rated by the company, which is told to us this is made in the USA. Good old American steel here. These are rated at about 3,000 PSI. Now, although maybe we may not be pushing 3,000 PSI, but the purpose of that is rubber hoses tend to expand, and as we know, sometimes when the overheating, they tend to wear out, they get brittle, and they rupture. These will be able to hold 3,000 PSI, and pretty much just giving us a smoother and a stiffer brake, so it will be responsive a lot quicker. We won't get any flexing in the hose right here. That's where usually it mostly happens. For those that have been around long enough, you guys know that when this rubber hose starts to flex and it bursts open, you got no brakes. So we got our two front lines right here. We have our two front brake hoses here. These were $70 with 34 cents, if I'm not mistaken. So this is the two set. Plus, you get your new copper washers here, and these are the crush washers that are going to go top and bottom, and on each one. We also picked up the one that goes to our differential. So this guy right here bolts onto your differential on the passenger side, on the driver's side, and right towards the edge. It got a little ear. You'll see it, as we all know. And then we're going to tie in our stainless steel lines that we have already, our hard lines, and this guy gets moved to the top. We have our banjo bolt to the top that runs all the way to the front of the car to our master cylinder. This kit comes with both copper lines as well too. This kit was $43.34, if I'm not mistaken. So that's what you would get with this kit. And again, this is the braided steel, stainless steel setup along with JM products. Come around this side. Part of working blind again. It's a little trickier here. This one loose, yep. This one's ready to come off. Now, the up top. Alright, there we go. We're going to have to get this guy out. So I could tell that this one was on pretty good because this crush washer is actually pretty well crushed. So I'm going to take those out. And take this guy out. They were on there good. So obviously you guys know we're going to have to go ahead and bleed this. So I'm going to take this guy, set it off. I'm going to put this together. And again, guys, none of this is bad. All of this is still good. This is all brand new, as you guys could see it. We're just swapping it out because we already went through the commitment of changing a lot more parts, so might as well go a little further and just take care of these. So, got my two new O-rings here, copper washers, and always remember, brake fluid tastes nasty. Yeah. Anyways.
Watch your eyes.
All right. So I'm gonna keep this bolt like that, and this guy's gonna stay out the way. I'm gonna keep this guy here for right now. Then we're no longer gonna need these. Alright, let's bring this bad boy up here. Loosely gonna fit everything in place and then tighten it up once I get everything kind of buckled down. Let me get this guy out here. I'm kind of placing these on the little distribution block for our rear hose right here, for our differential hose, and I'm just kind of toying around, and they're just screwing in nice and easily. You know, what I'm doing right there, that's pretty much done, and then I'll go ahead and so I'll go get a rag once I install my the top screw up here. I'm gonna go ahead and get a rag and clean this as best I can, because I'd hate to have any of this on my freshly coated powder coated differential. As we all know, brake fluid can be a corrosive and can damage paint pretty bad. So if you ever guys doing this kind of job, try not to touch your car. If you got it all over your hands and stuff and whatnot. There we go. Now, look at this, man. That looks really good. Let's go ahead and buckle that down. Let me get this rag right here. Start cleaning some of this off all the way around. Get some of this brake fluid off of here. You wouldn't want any of this stuff to be corrosive to our paint. Even though this is powder coating, I'm not going to sit here and try to take the chance to figure out that it's going to damage my powder coating. So just go ahead and clean this off real good. Just clean off this line real good. Get all this gunk off of it and off the block. So we're going to go ahead and tighten up our line first. Oh, this one's a little bigger. It's a 17. Let me get my socket. All this access off. I hate to keep anything. Alright. I'm gonna make sure that I keep it. There we go. Perfect. Alright. We also picked up for the Cobra setup the rear ones. So we got our rear brake hoses as well too, as you guys can see. Braided, stainless steel, and we'll be replacing these two. These also, as well, came with a little kit of crush washers. A couple things that we did not get that we thought we would have gotten. We would have figured to have gotten banjo bolts, but they didn't come with the lines. We got our gaskets here, or our crush washers. One of the things that I did decide to do though before doing any of this, when we did install the brakes, I kept the original banjo bolts, because this is what came with the lines the first time I bought them from AutoZone. This is what you got. You got this screw. And one of the things when you grab this screw, it feels pretty light in consideration to the original screw. There are a couple differences here. Now, I kept all the original screws. Number one reason being, because if you look at the top of that right there, that says 10.9. So it is a pretty hefty screw. It's 10.9 rated. It's a heat-treated screw. So guess what? This isn't going to just snap off. You know, maybe the caliper may break before you snap this off. And the reason I say it, because this, in consideration, feels very Chinese. Very light, very white, and very metric. So, as you guys can see. So I didn't use the new screws, obviously. I went ahead and kept the old ones. I polished these guys up. I have extra ones because of that reason, that 10.9. There's hardened screws, and they are they're going to withstand a little bit more torque. And since we're going to be putting in our stainless steel lines, you know, that'll just complement it even better. And again, we're not doing it just to showboat you guys. It's just that stainless steel lines add a little bit more rigidity. They'll be more fluid. They'll give us a firmer pedal, and we won't have to go through the breakdown that eventually the failure of the rubber line. Rubber lines tend to get brittle. They expand. They get squishy, as we all know. Things that I did remember that I did previously to our original ones, the old ones here. So as you guys can see, it's the same thing, right? Now, what I did on our differential, and I'll show you in a minute going down there, I shaved off, as you guys can see, right here, that little corner. And I want to show you in a minute why I did that, which I'm going to do to this one. Now, the reason I just show you that notching, this plate right here that goes around and that comes around through here is for our, this is what would be our quad shock brace, I guess. And we have our what do they call this here? My pen arm bar here, set up to this side right here. So this brace right here, what I did, the notching, there's a plate right here that it kind of sits on. This guy will kind of tucks it, and what it's going to do, it's going to end up kicking my plate out this way, because it's not notched. So I'm going to go ahead and notch this one. So as you guys can see, I'm going to bring the camera up here from this side, and you guys will be able to see what I'm talking about as it sits flush against this, keeping this brake line nice close to my differential. Let me see. There it is. So this little notch on the inside right there is what I'm talking about. So what you will see, I'll bring the light to the top. There we go. So right, this plate, let's see if I push this down. There's this plate right here, and then there's my notch right there. You guys can see it clear as day on the plate. It's notched right there towards the bottom. And that's going to see, if I don't do that, my plate will be kind of cockeyed. So I'm going to do that to this one before I install it. We're going to go ahead and just take this down like about to right there. We're going to go ahead and give it a take. We're going to taper it off, because so it can sit flush on the differential and it won't be dancing around. We get a good nice grip on there with the screw. So well, if most of y'all don't see it, you saw it here first at MCSC Green Wheels, customized. Just a little grinding, guys, nothing too big. You know, make it look nice and neat. We'll go ahead and put this bad boy back on there. I think this should work out just right. I'm pretty sure I have enough distance here to clear that little weld, that little flange that sits right underneath here. If I don't, this guy sits like that. It's kind of cockeyed, but now it's going to sit nice and flush, you know, and give me that nice, real Mustang look. So that looks nice and professional.
So is there any way that they would have done that before?
You know, if they would have done this ahead of time, then yeah, this would have fell in right in place. But I do believe that most people don't know that this little hang-up right here is going to really hold you up on that stock rear differential, because if most people don't know that Reckless, even though a lot has been modified, the differential housing is the original. It has an 8.8 373 with 31 spline racing axles on there, with the 3-inch studs on it. But yeah, so this Cobra setup, that car originally came with drum brakes in the rear, and we did the whole conversion. And the quad, we had to remove the quad shock out of the way to get the 315s back there. And this, I mean, if they did this, I don't think it debilitates anything from the structural, from the structure of the actual part, because this ridge right here still continues to keep it nice and firm and very rigid. But if guys listening to us out there in the, you know, J&M, maybe if you guys did this, this would be really nice. It just adds, it just sits down nice and flush on our differential now. So let's go ahead and install that. And I know I said earlier this is kind of like a plug and play kind of situation. If it wasn't for this, it would be. Other than that, this is the only other thing you would have to end up doing if you guys find yourself in the same predicament that we have on a stock rear end with a Cobra setup for brake systems. dancing. Let's clean that off real quick back here. Alright. It's no different. It's the exact same hose, just that this is the driver's side, as you guys can see. It's the exact same thing. There is no different. This is a brand new one, as you guys can see it here. The only thing is, obviously, the rubber to the stainless steel braided. Again, guys, there's nothing wrong with our hoses here. It's just that we're gonna go ahead and just keep it at a higher grade, because you know we want the stopping power. We don't want to go ahead and lose this car just on the fact that we skimped out on something so, you know, trivial as brake hoses. So, like I said, there's nothing wrong with these. It's just we're not going to need them because we have now upgraded. The other thing is, guys, you should remember these brake hoses are good for from your 87 to 93 Mustang. They will bolt up to the standard calipers, but these will also work for your 94 to 04 double piston caliper setup. So they work for your Cobra setup too, guys. So that's the good part about these brake hoses. They're going to be technically what we would call a kind of a swap, you know, a plug and play situation, which is not very common. That has happened to us throughout the years. If those have been following, we call it plug and play or a so-called kit. But we've learned otherwise. So just to show you guys, no trickery here. Someone say it's basically the same thing. Only difference, just rubber to the stainless steel.
Did it work?
It worked. Yeah. Yeah. You guys see right here, you see how it ended up flat? Let me see if I can come underneath here. Right there, you guys can see that it ended up nice and flat. It's no longer cocked off to the side. Everything looks nice and level. My brake line's nice on there. So we're good, buddy, we're good. So we're gonna go ahead and button this down. And then, once we're done, we're going to fill up our reservoir. We're going to do our front ones real quick. And then we're going to fill up our master brake cylinder. And we're going to give it a quick gravity bleed. And then, another bleed. So first, let's get our... Now, remember as I showed you earlier, guys, we went ahead and tapped these guys in. We gave them a little bit of a love tap. And then you could see, by hitting them, I imprinted the grooves that are on here as right there. So those will not allow you to leak out and whatnot. Look at that. That's good stuff right there. That means that I'm getting fluid all the way through. It's starting to leak out already. That's real good. So that's a real good sign that the washers were able to mold a little bit into the caliper itself. So I'm going to do the exact same thing. Put this guy back on here. Give it a love tap. Button it down. Go to the front. Let's see. Yeah, that looks real pretty. Prevent the leakage. As you guys can see, this is one of the original ones that just came off. You can see those little lines that are scored there. That's actually what helps it not leaking. So a lot of times you could put the new copper washers here, and then you'll end up seeing that the car still leaks or it's still leaking. A lot of people I've seen them go back to the old ones, but I'm pretty sure everybody knows this old mechanic trick. Anybody that's been in the business or just does their own work, we all know we just put in our new copper washers, one on top, one on bottom here. We're gonna go ahead and just tighten it down, just give it a little nice, little right there, and then a beautiful little love tap. Not too hard. You don't want to go ahead and deform that screw, and then go ahead and just bam, and that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten up the rest, put our retaining screw, move over to the driver's side. Other cars, you will see that this plate has a little hole. This plate right here will extend over, and then has a little hole where this thing gets caught up and doesn't let it swing left or right. As you can see, because this was a drum setup, this does not have the actual little hole where this will go on, because these are the Ford Cobra brake system setup now. So what I did, I just kind of like sheared off a little bit off the back, as you guys saw on my bench grinder, and it sits on just perfectly and fine. So if you guys run into the issue that that's what you're getting through with these, because you're trying to put it on a stock rear end that didn't have disc brakes, just do that and you'll be perfectly fine. So right now, just gonna go ahead and wipe down all my brake cleaner, all my brake fluid that spilled in here. As we all know, it is a corrosive. We don't want to let it get into something, and then before you know it, it'll look like leprosy back here, man. You get some lifting up and stuff. So let's not do that. Even though all this is powder coated and we know it is superior to paint, still, let's not take any chances. Let's just take a couple minutes and clean it off and bask in the glory of a clean differential. Ta-da! There we go. Nice and tight, man. I don't see anything coming out of it. We don't have any leaks over here by where the line is, right here underneath. Nice and clean. Maybe we can lose, no, that's the residue. Nice and clean. Those are done. Let's move to the front. It's just a little tad roomier due to the fact that we're not sitting here fighting with the space. On these, the right hand side has the bevel right here. It's gonna sit, as you guys will see, it's right here. So it's going to sit right there. It won't sit the same if you took this one and put it on the other side, because then the bevel will be on the other side, will be pointing down. So that's how you could tell left from right, because here's the other one. See what I mean? So we're going to go ahead and keep moving forward before we lose all our fluid. And then we have to go into an even deeper bleed. Alright, so first things first. I already loosened up my brake line up here. So I'm going to go ahead and take it apart right there. Bam, that's done. One of the things that this particular setup had, we had an adapter set up right here to the brake line, because it's the Cobra adapter. This actually came with our brake line kit, so they knew that we would be needing this little adapter right here to adapt to the stock brake hoses. So even for that one, for right here, it'll still work the same. Yes, it will. See? So this guy right here is very important you have, because it may not work with the with this setup. So I know that the brake, the stainless steel brake lines, as you could tell, this is a much bigger fitting. As you could tell, you can see this fitting right here. In consideration to this one, and the hole. So this technically won't fit in there. And so I got this little adapter. This actually came with the kit when we bought these stainless steel lines. So I'm going to go ahead and hurry up and keep this moving, because I don't want any brake fluid all over my workspace. Alright, got a little clip here. Alright, there it is. Very important to keep. We're going to reuse that. And there's our line. Now we're going to take it off from back down here. Now, due to that, these calipers, the bleed, they fill from here, so that means that this whole caliper from the top here is pretty much full. So I'm going to try and move as fast as I can, do as least drippage as possible. But as we all know, sometimes that cannot be achieved. But here goes nothing. line off, and they're typically the same size. As you guys can see, check it out, same in length. Obviously my rubber line is much thicker than my braided stainless steel, but that's what we're going for. We're doing the stainless steel just for the fact that we need more rigidity and keeping our pedal nice and firm, more stopping power. We're trying to eliminate failure. It's one. It's going to be our second one. Let's go and get this guy up here. Now we're going to do the exact same thing we did to the other side when we put our hammer to it, just to crush these washers and make sure we groove them so they're not leaking all over the place. So now, I'm going to take this guy off because he can't go on without it. Our retainer here has a little groove where the line itself, or the hose, has a groove itself right in there. I don't know if you guys can catch it. There it is. So it's going to go right through there, and that's also going to keep the line from spinning around when we tighten it up. And there it is. Bam. Once you get it through, drop in your retainer clip right here. Oh, sorry, let me get this over this way. There we go. Drop in this retainer clip. Some pliers. Let's see. That goes good there. Then we're going to bring in our brake line. Wiggle it around, move it in and out, and then it'll find its place. I'll get rid of this rag because it's full of grease. Let's clean this off real good. Remember, guys, I don't want to repeat myself, but I'm going to. Brake fluid is a corrosive. Wow. Super cool. Look at that. Really, really looks really nice. That's it. I mean, look at this. Beautiful. Great craftsmanship. Look at that. Can't ask for anything more. 3K rated, guys, and PSI power, so you should be able to push your foot right through that floorboard, and these should still hold. We got this one off. Let me get some rags.
Right.
Okay. Drop that there. That's on. Perfect. And again, guys, you don't want to hit it too hard where you mar this bad boy up, because then if you ever have to remove it and you strip it, money, 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 as you just heard. So we went ahead and did that. Let me get my little, here's my 10mm right here. Just give it one last check. Alright, perfect. And then clean this off up here. There you go. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. we went ahead and we swapped out our, where did I throw them? Here we go. We went ahead and we swapped out our stock brake hoses for the 1993 Ford Mustang GT that we call Staff Sergeant Reckless. Now again, you can use these. We installed our Cobra setup brakes. This is the double piston brake system, which these lines are set to work perfectly with this setup and with all 87, from all 87 to 93 Mustangs, these lines will work perfectly with your stock calipers and the double piston Cobra setup. And as you guys can see, we have the Cobra setup on Sergeant Reckless in the front and in the rear. So these worked out just perfectly. They were a technical plug and play for the mere little thing that I just had to groove out in the back so it could sit flush to our differential. Other than that, I think they look great. Now we're gonna bleed them off and get ready for the road test and then see how they react. But the whole thing about it, it's about safety. We want to make sure that if we have the ability to upgrade some of these things like this, especially with the components that this car has, because you guys remember it's a 93, shouldn't have a 2015, but it does. Shouldn't have a torque armbar or a pan armbar, but it does. Shouldn't be having 315s in the back, but it does. So with all of that said, might as well go ahead and just take the extra step forward and give ourselves a little bit more safety reason that to know that we're stopping power. These are 3,000 PSI rated, so they're USA made, so they say. So guys, prove it to us if that is true. And these are stainless steel braided. They look great. I think they're gonna end up, once we get it all bled and everything, and we're gonna roll and run them, this should give us stiffer braking, and of course, they shouldn't bust. Well, that looks pretty good to me, man. I don't know. You guys tell me. Do you think I did a good choice? Do you think we did good here by changing them out to the stainless? Give us a comment, give us a like. Guys, this is Saul Castañeda with MCSE Green Wheels. We will catch you on the next one. Good night.